Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the first time Lee Canady has appeared in Detroit. Lee was born in El Dorado, Arkansas, but by his early 20s, Lee was already managing that world-renowned record store in Detroit, Lee's Monroe Music. Or at least, businessmen in music as well as artists in music the world over reached out to Lee to hear the golden ear of Detroit's opinion on music. Lee is currently 77 years old, the Gettysburg age, I like to say. Looking back on the golden age of music in Detroit, one opposing local perspective, though, came from local radio disc jockey Ed Love, who would not play Coltrane on the radio. See, people from the world over, you had the Beatles in England, you had record labels from coast to coast in America, and I'm sure other places as well, were calling you. You're a fan of all that jazz, Billboard magazine said. You know your stuff about jazz. You were friends with Coltrane. There is an opposing perspective of Coltrane. You defended him, but someone who did not care for Coltrane was local radio disc jockey Ed Love. He wouldn't play Coltrane on the radio.
Well, that was then when Coltrane first came out and the new style of music. Well, nobody would want to listen to it. People didn't want to. They thought he was crazy. He would play a set last maybe an hour, a little long or something. He would play the same tune one set, and they thought he was losing his mind or whatever. He wasn't the old Coltrane. At that time, jazz was changing, and everybody wasn't accepted. So Ed Love, we used to laugh like that. He didn't like Coltrane at the time, and his friends, most people didn't. But I always did. I like my trumpet player, I like Freddie Hubbard, his new style of playing. He wasn't like Lee Morgan. Lee Morgan, he came out with the Sidewinder, and we would laugh about that. So he laughed all the way to the bank with Sidewinder, but we was laughing and talk about his rock and roll. That was our opinion. It sold, we got probably gold record for it, but things have changed. Once they had Mr. Keller's, Nat Hefton, I think that's his name, from Downbeat magazine was there. And at that time, they would rate album, jazz album, 1 star to 5 star. That's the best. That's when the album's really good. Because they had a way of trying to promote and sell the record. They brought a story about the album when the album out. They give this album 5 star. Once somebody in the magazine would rate him. We was at Mr. Keller and he said, Coltrane, I'm going to give it 1 star, not for the album is good. It's because musicianship, I believe, 1 star. Said the album was so long it sounded like 100 boxcars. That means it's long.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to play that. So when I knew anything, I had stood up in Mr. Keller, all those people, and I was yelling at the guy on stage about John Coltrane, and I like Coltrane. That's what I mean by that. And so, and then Ed Love didn't want to play him, well, because the tune was too long, too. You see what I'm saying? But they found a way to get around that. When Love Supreme came out, that's all you could hear on the radio, Love Supreme, Love Supreme. I'm not Love Supreme, my favorite things. Love Supreme, nobody want to play it. It was too long. But they finally got it around every time, I Love Supreme, I Love Supreme. And it became catching on. And they started accepting new change. At that time, they tried to name this music, I think, avant-garde music. I don't know what that means.
Advanced guard. It's French for advanced guard, or
right.
ahead of its time.
Eric Dolphy played a different kind of alto sax. He played, who that played the little horn? What's his name? But anyway, it was a different kind of jazz. That's what they was doing then, see? But it changed over and it got accepted. Coltrane, he did well in his album. Love Supreme and others he did out. He did a lot of things on Impulse label. At the time, Impulse label just came out as a new label. Because in the beginning, it wasn't that many jazz labels. I don't know who owned ABC. I think ABC owned Impulse. I think, I'm not sure. That was a jazz label. They had Bob James on there, and he's doing the thing now, I Feel Like Making Love, and it's really big. Bob James came and been in my store a couple of times. Impulse will bring him out to meet and greet and promote his album and take a picture and want me to list the record and that kind of thing and buy the record. And that's how I got to know all those guys like that. And now Bob James, he does his thing, Feel Like Making Love. It's just like it all over again. Just feel like making love. Well, he came out with that with Roberta Flack back in the day. She just got on her label, I think, an Atlanta record. Les McCann discovered Roberta Flack. I played that record all day long, every day. I used to, until I started, because I was trying to get it on the charts, and I did. Roberta, she had a good run, Roberta Flack. But Les McCann brought her out. First time I ever saw her face, it was bad. But see, people think things it didn't just happen. Somebody got that in play, but that's the way.
Everything comes from somewhere, from
right.
effort, not
Connected
from
to something.
the air.
Right.
Not abiogenesis.
Right. I try to call balls and strike,
You live in reality.
Right.
LEGENDARYLEECANADY.